you can make all the right choices, and then you have to go back through the so what success system. Sometimes things don't work out. But another calculated choice that I made was investing in coaching early, because it was something that it just planted seeds of harvest and investment. So the very first thing I think I invested in, I think I was 19 or 20, and I just started reading and getting take home courses and different things like that, listening to CDs. And so I was always filling my mind with investing in me. And it always takes me back to this quote by Benjamin Franklin. It's an old quote that empty your purse into your mind, and your mind will fill your purse with gold. So
I've never even heard that one. That's good.
Empty your purse into your mind, and your mind will fill your purse with gold. A lot of times we try to invest in things outside of ourselves, and the next craze, whatever, cryptocurrency, Forex market, NFTs, whatever it is, it's always the new thing that's out. It's like, but investing here first, I learned how to do it. So making a choice of connecting with my mentor when I was 19 or so, and just investing, even when I didn't have it at the time.
Hey everybody, I'm back with another episode of So What Success Stories. And today I have my friend, fellow author, speaker, and coach, Odell Bizzell. You know I had to say it like that, Odell Bizzell. Odell is one of my newer friends. He is a fellow member of the agency that I'm with for College for Life, but I actually had the pleasure of meeting Odell through the Black NSA. I don't know, maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Yep.
Yes. And I got a chance to meet Odell. He is a super, super cool person, super supportive, and doing some super amazing things. So I'm super excited to be talking to Odell. Odell, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, excited to be here. Excited to be amongst the So What family. Odell Bizzell, gosh, country boy ahead of his time from North Carolina. Andy and Doris, his son, oldest of my parents' kids. And I always wanted to be that guy in the family. I always wanted to be the person to kind of set myself apart. Started playing basketball when I was young. I thought I was going to be a famous basketball player until God told me to stop growing when I was 14. And so I settled on entrepreneurship, wanted to be an entrepreneur, sold candy in high school. My best friend, Justin, we made like $75,000 selling candy in high school, and we're written up in papers and, online and all that stuff about some of the stuff that we were able to do. I went to college in North Carolina, NC State, and I went through a path of knowing that I wanted to do a lot of really great things, but not knowing how to do it, which I think a lot of people go through. And also I encountered struggles because life pretty much worked out for me through sports, through academics, everything going up and growing up. So when I went to college and life kind of smacked me in the face for the first time, I didn't know how to react. And so I graduated in 4 years and I had a degree, but no clue on what I was going to do with my life. I had no real direction. And I got married super young when I was 22 to my wife, Sierra. And so getting married young, graduating, not knowing how to adult, it was just a collection of chaos, really.
Yeah, well, listen, before we get into that, because I think that is so cool. And at first we have to say you're still married to this day. And that's awesome and amazing to get married that young and still be married to this day. But before we get into that, you got to tell us a story about your name, Odell Bizzell.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty cool story. So I'm Odell Bizzell II. And I was named after my grandfather who passed when he was 45. And my grandfather, I never got to meet him. My dad was 13 when he died. and he really didn't get to know his dad that well. And my grandfather was an alcoholic, and that's what led to his early demise. He just wouldn't stop drinking. And so when I turned 18, right when I was about to go to college, my dad told me why he named me after his father. And he said two things, Summer, and I think it could honestly, it could connect to what we're going to be talking about today. He said, first and foremost, you have to understand that everybody has something that is going to come at them that's going to stop them. And to get past that, you need a new level of help. And your grandfather just did not want to get the help to get past that obstacle and that demon in his life. And so he's not here. He says, so always remember, son, you need help at every level that you're going to. And he said, a lot of times that help that you need is inside of somebody that's going to lead you to a resource. And so he said, as you go to college, always be looking for that person or that resource that's going to take you to the next level. And the second reason he said he named me after my grandfather was because he was so young. He was 45. And he said that he wanted the name Odell Bizzell to have a second chance at being great. And so telling me that when I was 18, it kind of, it fueled me a little bit. And so I still think about it to this day. And I'm very cognizant of that. So yeah, that's the story behind my name.
Okay, so I knew you were named after your grandfather, but I did not know it was that deep. I didn't know it was that deep. That's awesome. That is awesome. That's powerful. Yeah. That's powerful. Well, you are serving your father well in his wishes to give that name a second chance. And you are serving your grandfather well too, because you are somebody that I look up to and I respect and I admire on so many levels. So I can't wait to get deeper into the story because we already started and I didn't even realize it was that deep. Okay. So Odell, in this program, I have what I call the So What Success System. And it's my belief that anyone can overcome obstacles, eliminate excuses, and calculate choices, they can have so what success. And that is success in spite of any obstacles they face. So Odell, talk first a little bit about some of the obstacles that you've had to overcome in your life to get to where you are today.
Yeah, thanks for that. And again, love what you're doing. I believe everybody has obstacles that they see and obstacles that they don't see. Sometimes there are things that there's a glass ceiling, if you will. There's, a transparent sliding glass door that we can't see and we just run into it. So for me, it was the assignment of ambition. So when I was younger, I've always wanted to be elite. I've always wanted to be excellent. I was fortunate and blessed with a support system that always told me I can do anything. So how I grew up was not an obstacle, but the first obstacle that I went up against was life. Mm. And when we're told that we can do anything, it's kind of two sides of everything. If somebody says, oh, you're never going to amount to anything, you can react to make that story true or to prove that person wrong. So my whole life, I'm going to prove all the people that love me and support me right. So I'm going to try to do this thing. And I joked earlier that God stopped me from growing. I've been the same size since I was like 14. So I was like a bigger kid growing up and bigger than most of the other kids, stronger than all the other kids. And then they just kept getting bigger and I didn't. And so the first obstacle, the first thing that I really wanted, I wanted to play basketball in college. Didn't happen. I had coaches, coaching changes when I was in high school, coaches that said, well, Odell, you're smart, so you don't need athletics. So they kind of conspired to not play me and do different things like that. And so that was the first obstacle. And I identified that obstacle as an outside force. So I had outside forces coming at me through people. And that was the first obstacle. And the second obstacle I'll say that I had to overcome was ignorance, because we don't know what we don't know. And a lot of times when we're trying to do things, there's a certain level of information, there's a certain level of assimilation that we have to put that information into. And I didn't know. I said, I want to make a lot of money. So I read some books. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I started reading those books when I was really young. So I had some information, but I didn't know how to assimilate that into what I wanted to do. And so those were the 2 biggest obstacles. And I kept running up against them at different levels of life. You get to college, it's like, okay, I'll do this. Outside force, boom, no. Oh, okay, I'll make money. Oh, you don't know how to sell, or you're selling the wrong thing. Or so those things, those are the biggest obstacles that I feel like that I had to overcome.
Well, talk a little bit about how you overcame those obstacles, because you're exactly right. No, at tomorrow, whatever new thing that you're going to decide to do, because you are going to continue to do new things and figure out new things, and you're going to be ignorant. You're not going to know how to do it, and you are going to have outside forces that can impede it. Talk about how you've dealt with the ignorance and the outside forces, and continue to grow and explore new things.
Yeah, what's really cool is it goes back to the reason why I was named the Odell Bizzell, and finding people at different levels to help me. And so the way I was able to overcome, like, the first obstacle I talk about, oh my gosh, I'm not going to make it to D1 and whatnot. My basketball coach, who I hated at the time for telling me this, but he told me, and we had a Saturday practice. Some of the players, even in high school, were getting drunk or doing things that they weren't supposed to do. I was there early, like I always was, and there were college coaches there, and I didn't get to, like, scrimmage with everybody. And I'm like, why? Like, I'm one of the best players on the team. Like, what? Why are you, like, blocking me? Why are you hating me? And he pulled me to the side and he said, look, he said, your future is outside of basketball. You're a A student, you're going to go to college, you're going to do great things. I was selling candy in high school. So he was like
you were doing more than selling candy. That was a full-on enterprise. Okay.
He said, you're going to be fine. He said, if they don't have basketball, I don't know what they have. So I have to give them a shot. And that part was essentially telling me that what I wanted wasn't even really about what I wanted. It was about who I was going to become on the way to get that thing. So identifying different people, even if I didn't like their advice, how can I reassign my goal? How can I reassign the obstacle? Because a lot of times our obstacles just help us see our goal from a different perspective. I wanted to go to the NBA to make money. Okay, that's a very difficult, very challenging path. Or you're smart, or you're this. Okay, you can go this way, and you can still get the same goal, but just a different route. So identifying people. When I graduated college, I hooked up with a mentor. He wasn't even a speaker, Summer, but he asked me a series of questions, and I created a book called Perfected Passion Produces Prosperity, based on the questions that he asked me about me and how I can become better and how I can find the gift that God gave me to give to the world. And I went through that, and I settled on, okay, I'm here to speak and write to inspire people. That was the simplest part of it. And I remember telling him that, and he said, okay, now the work starts. You got to figure out how you're going to do that, how you're going to manifest that. So then the next side of that was, okay, well, who's out here speaking? Who's out here doing that? And so then I found other people. And so the whole point of what I'm saying, and to answer your question, how I overcame it, is to find people, find resources to connect to that have either walked that path or that help other people walk the path that you want to walk. And when you do that, it's so much easier, because everything that we want, everything that you want, everything that I want, everybody listening, everything that you want is inside of a connection to people.
That's powerful. And that's the truth. That is powerful. And that's the truth. And being willing and open to listen number one, to seek the people, right? And not having the pride to not seek people, right? And then having the willingness to listen. I think that's excellent advice. Okay, before I go to the next part of the So What Success System, you mentioned your book. You are what, like a 7-time author? How many books do you have?
8.
Tell us a little bit about your books, because we didn't talk about that in your intro. We did say author, but look, talk about them. Then give a minute to talk about those. Awesome
Yeah,
books.
for sure. So if you were to ask me, Odell, do you like to speak or do you like to write? Like, which one do you like? I'm a writer. Love to write. I write something every day, whether it be an email, whether it be a journal entry, whether it be a book that I'm writing. I write something every single day. And I've always wanted to write since I was 7 years old. And so when I met my mentor, I was just talking about, he said, okay, you want to speak, you want to write to inspire people. Which one is going to make you money the fastest? And at that time, I didn't know how to turn my writings into money because I was writing fictional stuff, fictional stories. I didn't know how to do it, but I knew and I saw a path to speak. And so when I started speaking, the idea was, well, experts, authorities write books of subject matters to their audience. So I started speaking to college students. I started speaking to younger audiences. So I wrote a book, Barely Out of College, Barely Out of Wealth. I talked about how I lost all the money that I made when I was coming up and how I spent it all and how I was irresponsible, how I almost got kicked out of school. Talked about that. Then I wrote a book, The Success Choice, to help students make the choice to succeed, whether that be college or whether that be something different. I wrote Perfected Passion Produces Prosperity. I wrote also Refuse to Lose, which is has a resilience message, kind of like the stuff that you talk about, how to help people overcome the obstacles in life and win the game of life. I wrote a book called Why I Fired My White Best Friend, which is a diversity, equity, inclusion book, because as I'm doing more of that work, wanted to have a book tied to that. Gosh, what's the other one? I think that's like 5. I wrote another book called 8 Things My Parents Didn't Tell Me About Money. So that's a financial literacy book for young people. And I wrote 2 fictional books, inspirational fiction books as well. So I just love to write. And I currently have 3 books that I'm working on right now.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And I love it. We have to talk about that because my journey is quite different from yours in the sense that I wrote a book and then that led to me discovering the speaking business. And I write too. I like to write too. I don't think I like to write as much as you do, but I like to write. I think that's cool. I think that's super cool. Awesome books too. I know they're super powerful. So the next part of the So What Success System is learning how to eliminate excuses. As you said, we all have obstacles and we will all continue to forever have obstacles. And we can make excuses as to why we don't overcome those obstacles, or we can eliminate those excuses. Talk about some of the excuses that you've made or that you've had to eliminate to get to where you are today.
Yeah, the excuses, gosh, you can make a list a mile long, right? Of the excuses. I'm not this, I'm not that. The biggest excuse that I used to make was I didn't have enough money and I didn't have a resume. So those are the 2 things, that the biggest things. And again, I'll give flowers to my support system, my grandma, my dad, my mom, my step parents, everybody. In my life, they've always told me that you can figure it out. So even in the midst of those excuses, oh, I'm not this or I'm not that, or of course they're doing well. They had a family that gave them, this much money, or of course they had the internet growing up. For some people watching that are around my age, a little older, they had the internet in their house growing up. Like I didn't have that. Like all those different things. It was like, you got to figure it out or just be unhappy. That was like one of those things. So the excuses that I had to get rid of, I don't have enough money. You can use other people's money. And this is something that I think will be instructional for everybody. If that's your excuse, I don't have enough money to start the business. I don't have enough money to do this. I don't have enough money. I get it. In every transaction, there's a buyer and a seller. If you figure out who the buyer is and you find a seller and you figure out how to connect them together more efficiently, the seller will probably give you a little bit of the buyer's money when they get it. So if you don't have money, then you create connections. You offer a service, and people, and I used to say this to myself all the time, especially when I was coaching, like, how can I coach people that make more money than me? They wouldn't want to work with me. Well, when you go to a restaurant, you know that the waitress, the waiter probably isn't making as much money, but they're serving you and you're giving them money because they're providing a service. So if you don't have money, find a service that you can offer to people that have money, and they'll give you more money. And so those are some of the things that, as I was walking through those excuses, I was going through that. And then the resume excuse.
All right, before you move on from that was good. So hopefully people will rewind that, back it up and listen to that again. That was powerful and that was deep. And that's something that every single person watching this can do. Every person can do it. Okay, go ahead with the resume. That was good. That was good.
Thank you. So the resume is simply, it's all about perspective. So if, and Summer, I know your story, you know, I'm sure people listening know your story. Some of the things that you went through were super, super tough. When you wake up, when God allows you to wake up, open your eyes and see a new day, you made it through that tough thing. Put that on your resume. You know, like put everything that you do on your resume and give people perspective on it. So like even at the beginning, when I say, yeah, you know, sold a bunch of candy, made like $75,000. $75,000 a year is pretty good. I made $75,000 over the course of 4 years, but I didn't say that. I said I made about $75,000. It's like, oh, wow, he made sense. So automatically people are thinking, and that's what I used to do when I first started speaking. I was like, I don't have a resume. And I had one of my coaches tell me, how much money did you make when you was in college? I mean, when you were in high school? He said, and I used to say, we only made $250 a week. And what he did is he added it all up and it was like, that's a lot of money, kid. Like, use that. So everything, every level that you go to, just use the former level. I forget who said this, but everybody has a freshman class. So there's always somebody that's going to look at what you've done and say, oh, that's really cool what you've done. So make sure that you use that as your resume and keep going and building as you grow.
Even $250 a week is impressive. Right. I had 2 jobs in high school when I was a Bible. And I'm like, that's still impressive. That is super impressive. Okay. That's excellent. And that's the truth though. And that's the truth because I do coaching as well. And everything in life really is about perspective. And in every situation, somebody knows more than somebody else, right? Or in every situation, every single situation. And all you need to be is that person knows a little bit more than the next person. Right. And then it might be they may know something more than you do about a different topic. Right. So we can all add to each other. And I love that. I love that. And our resumes are always building too. Right. Every single day, our resume. Well, they should be, or they could be. They should be, and they could be. Okay. That's excellent. You have a really impressive resume, and I'm learning more and more and more about it all the time too. That's really cool. Okay, the next part of the So What Success system, last part, is calculating choices. So once you learn how to overcome obstacles, eliminate excuses, and you've proven whatever excuse exists, you can overcome it. You can deal with it. You can get rid of it. You can move past it. But you have to make choices, some good calculated choices to get to that So What Success. Talk about some of the choices that you've made throughout your life.
Yeah, I'll give 3 specific choices and I'll make it quick. And they're, again, to go with the theme, they're all connected to people. So the first choice that I made, I always wanted to get married young because I saw my parents, they got married young and it didn't work out. And I just felt like, man, if my parents would have stayed together, you know, maybe life would be a little different. So I wanted to get married young, have kids young. So, you know, they could have that family. I could play with my kids, blah, 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 blah. So the first choice when I got to college is I was like, well, I'm not going to be like some of the other guys, that were doing things, and some of my friends even that were doing things that were irresponsible. It's like, I'm gonna find who I want to marry. And so that part, I didn't know it at the time, but studies show that people that marry well usually do well financially if they can, stay connected with the person that they marry. And so that's the first thing I did. And my aunt and my uncle have been married over 40 years. So I asked her, she's the only one of my grandma's kids that didn't get divorced. And so I said, how did you and Unc make it work? Like, what did y'all do? And she told me to make a list of pros and cons. And she said, love is cool, but marriage is a business with romance.
Sounds
So
like wisdom to me.
yeah, so I chose my wife that way. I'm fortunate that we're a good fit, and that she's, super amazing, and she wanted a lot of things that I wanted. But choosing to do that as a calculated choice, because I could have been out doing other things and having fun, I'm using air quotes and stuff like that, but that was the best choice that I made still to this day. And the second choice I made.
Before you go to that, even I want to say something about that, because I have been married. I think that sometimes we don't, and I want to repeat it just because it's really, really important. You make the decision, you made the decision early on. I think regardless of the stage or the age where you make the decision, I think sometimes we don't put enough thought into who we marry, and that it is one, and you tied it to wealth, health, happiness, all of it is connected to who you choose. And I think that is super important. I think seriously in life, the most important decisions that we make are who we marry and who we have children with, because that affects so many other aspects of our life. So I applaud you for being so young and being so wise in how you handled it.
Yeah, sure. I got lucky. I got blessed, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Because you can do you can make all the right choices, and then you have to go back through the so what success system. Sometimes things don't work out. But another calculated choice that I made was investing in coaching early, because it was something that it just planted seeds of harvest and investment. So the very first thing I think I invested in, I think I was 19 or 20, and I just started reading and getting take home courses and different things like that, listening to CDs. And so I was always filling my mind with investing in me. And it always takes me back to this quote by Benjamin Franklin. It's an old quote that empty your purse into your mind, and your mind will fill your purse with gold. So
I've even heard that one. That's good. That's good.
Empty your purse into your mind, and your mind will fill your purse with gold. A lot of times we try to invest in things outside of ourselves, and the next craze, whatever, cryptocurrency, Forex market, NFTs, whatever it is, it's always the new thing that's out. It's like, but investing here first, I learned how to do it. So making a choice of connecting with my mentor when I was 19 or so, and just investing, even when I didn't have it at the time, just doing that. And then the last calculated choice I made, Summer, was to develop what I call and what is called a very high income skill, which is public speaking. So my whole adult life, I've been a professional speaker, and it's just helped me get into rooms. It's helped me get in the doors that I never would have been able to. So I would just suggest for those listening, develop a skill, whether it be, speaking, whether it be writing, whether it be podcasting, sales, whatever, develop a skill, because no matter what, you'll have that skill that you can use, and you can attach, what you learned in the so what success system to that. So those are my calculated choices.
That's good. That is good. I appreciate learning this journey, and you're exactly right. And as you're talking, I'm thinking about the parallels and then also the differences in our journeys, but then how they kind of intersect. Well, obviously intersected because we're here and we're doing the same thing now. And I'm just like, man, what if I would have been doing this when I was 19? I was busy being a mama then. Look, a little bit different. No, I think that's excellent. This is really, really good advice. So you've talked about how you've learned how to overcome obstacles, eliminate excuses, and calculate choices to achieve so-what success. You've talked about challenges along the way, and here you are today as somebody that I look up to and somebody that I admire. And so I do see you as successful. But how do you personally define success?
Let's see. Today, as of today, I define success as a pursuit, and the pursuit of what makes you happy and fulfilled and effective. And that's what I think. So if you're constantly going towards that thing, whether it be a goal, a degree, a business, a relationship, whatever, and you're pursuing that and it makes you happy, gives you joy, and you're fulfilled and you're effective in that journey, then I believe you're successful. So even if you don't have the thing like the $1 million business yet, or that the ideal situation, whether it be family situation or relationship situation or career, whatever, your pursuit of that, it creates success, because success is not about what you get, it's about who you become and who you help on the way. So that's what I think. If you're pursuing something and you're becoming something and you're fulfilled in that pursuit, you're successful.
I love it. Great definition. All right, last question. What advice would you give someone watching this? Now, you've been dropping all kinds of nuggets along the interview, but what's one last piece of advice you would give someone watching this interview? Just general advice. Maybe it's a college student, maybe it's a young entrepreneur, aspiring speaker. Just a piece of advice that you would like to leave.
I would say the greatest advice I could give is to learn how to communicate your thoughts and your feelings. That's the best advice, because our success in life is directly proportionate to our effectiveness as communicators. And we have to communicate to ourselves first. You can't tell somebody that you're in a relationship with, if you can't tell them how you feel, you can't communicate how you feel, then that relationship probably won't work out. If you're in business and you can't communicate to your client their thoughts and feelings in a way that you can show them how your product or your service can help, you won't be successful. A job interview, if you can't communicate well to other people, then you won't succeed. But first we have to communicate to ourselves. So communicate your thought about you, about when you look in the mirror every single day, like, what do you think when you're communicating your dreams and goals? Are you calling yourself, I'm a loser, or I'm not smart, or I'm not whatever? Like, you have to think about those and you have to manage those and master those. So that's what I would say. Master communication. And once you do that, you will see that the world will look a lot like you want it to.
And that's great words to end on. I love it. I love it. Super, super powerful. Odell, thank you for being my friend, first and foremost. Thank you for being super encouraging, inspiring. I remember when I came into For College for Life, you were one of the first people who embraced me. You were open and free, sharing information, resources, and I appreciate that. I never felt like it was a competition. It's always been love. And you also got a winning smile. Look, I'm all about a smile. And I tell you all the time, I see your post, I'm like, that smile, there is that smile. So I thank you for being you, Odell, and I thank you for being awesome. And I thank you for sharing your story today. Really appreciate you.
It was a pleasure. God bless.